Hello everyone, my name is Lewis Jackson and I'm solving the biggest problem in all of crypto, which is the exit strategy. Nobody is looking at this enough. It's the most important thing you can do to actually secure profits in a bull run rather than waiting to see how it goes, or I might sell some here, I might sell some there. Not going to work, okay? In today's video, we're going to talk about the technology behind crypto and how oftentimes the complexity that we get into with crypto, just because of the nature of crypto and how new this technology is, it is probably a step too far for most of us. You know, a lot of my viewers tend to be in the older age range, and when I say older, I like, it's not really that old, but kind of 40 to 60. And it's just because these are a bunch of really smart people. You are very smart people. You're actually probably ahead of the curve quite a bit in your age group, certainly about what crypto is, where it's going. And to this point, the likelihood is you've overcome so much technological hurdle to get to where you are right now. Meaning you've had to learn how a cold storage wallet works. You've had to learn how to buy and sell and send cryptocurrency. You know, you've probably got portfolio trackers online and stuff. All of this is alien to people your age group. They don't know what they're doing. You're like miles ahead of them. But the trap I see a lot of people falling into, certainly in these interviews that I do for my Blockflow program, which brings you to a state of not having any strategy all the way through to having the most detailed, personalized, tailor-made exit strategy you could possibly imagine. The difference between those people is that one group has figured out that there is a threshold of diminishing returns in terms of technology. And that's really what I want to talk about here. So I hear a lot of these people in these interviews for the Blockflow program saying, I feel like I don't get the technology. I don't understand it. And so in that state of mind, you actively search for ways to understand more technology. You might download more apps or have more wallets. And what this does is, in the end, is it creates this massive overwhelm. It's like, I've got to check this website and I've got to log into this thing and I've got to remember my seed phrases, and it's not necessary. It creates this complexity which invites emotion through the door. And as soon as you might invite emotion through the door, if you've got no plan and emotion comes through the door, you are done for. Absolutely done for. And some of you might have even had this happen to you before, and this time you just don't want it to happen. So, you know, when I hear the technological overwhelm in these calls, I'm like, what? Why do you have like 12 different exchanges? Why have you got cryptos in 12 exchanges? Why have you got 100 cryptos? Why are you trying to, you know, spread your cryptocurrency out among like 10 different cold storage wallets? Like, you're adding complexity to this whole process, which is getting in the way of what's actually important. And what is important? Well, I told you at the beginning, the most important thing you can be doing is creating a plan. And so we do this in a variety of ways. We're creating complexity and overwhelm in so many different ways. One of those ways that we do that is convincing ourselves that we need to stay on top of all the news and all the events that are happening. False. Another one is that we convince ourselves that we need to understand more technology. We need to be involved in more exchanges. We need to spread out like that. And we need to have this awareness of how everything works all the time. Again, that's false. There is a threshold at which you no longer need complexity to advance. Like, it's diminishing returns. If you're unfamiliar with diminishing returns, there's a certain point at which you get the most amount of impact and effectiveness out of a certain amount of technology. Let's just narrow it down to exchanges. So let's say that number is 3 exchanges. If you have 1 exchange, you're less efficient than you have with 2. This is just as an example. And if you have 2, you're less efficient than you are if you would have 3, because you have more reach to different tokens. But as soon as you get 4, you don't get as much benefit out of the 4th one than you did from the 2nd to the 3rd, or the 1st to the 2nd. And then more so from the 4th to the 5th, you get less than you did out of the 3 to the 4. So that is called diminishing returns. It's not going to continue going up in value at the same rate. There's a certain moment where it kind of plateaus, and it's acknowledging where that is. And I think we can talk about that plateau in a multitude of different areas. One of those areas being the desire to understand everything about everything all the time. There's a point at which you just know enough to make informed decisions, and you no longer need to attribute time and energy to that thing anymore, because you just know enough. But most people have a very poor perception or awareness of that moment. Typically, it acts like almost like an uphill snowball. where I've got two exchanges. I probably need more. I need to learn more. I need to get these exchanges. I need to get these cold storage wallets. I need to get this wallet and add this extension onto my browser. And it spirals. It creates a spiral of overwhelm and complexity that it just isn't needed. And so I would suggest, really analyze how much of this stuff do I need? Because you just have, the fundamental thing here is to acknowledge that the chances are you've taken on too much, because we believe we can do more than we can. And so if you acknowledge that point, look back at all these exchanges you have, it's like, well, do I really use this exchange? Why am I even checking it? Like, do I even use it? Could I send my assets from this exchange to one and condense these all down? Because I can't stress enough the importance of narrowing down all this technology that you've got going around, and its impact on your brain. How can I say it? The impact on your bandwidth. I'll tell you a little story here. A few months ago, I got hacked. Terrible. I thought I could never get hacked because I'm, on top of all my security, but they got in my computer and they started to try and take my stuff. And so as a result of that happening, it kind of shook me to my core, and it made me realize actually how much vulnerability I've put myself out there, just because I've had so much spread into all this technology and social media. Like, what I ended up doing was not only narrowing down all of my exchanges, not that I had many to start with, because I really don't like the complexity of things. I do like to stay simple and minimal in the first place. But the one glaringly obvious kind of thing that was taking up the majority of my bandwidth was social media. And as someone who makes their living on social media, it's quite an odd thing to say that you're just going to quit social media. But it's exactly what I did. So I don't engage with social media anymore. Like, I don't have any of the apps on my phone. I have someone else upload my videos. So like, I have, even someone whose job depends on social media can reduce complexity enough to such a violent degree. Like, for me not to have social media on anything that I've got here is a massive move. But I tell you what happened. As soon as I did that, I started to focus on things that were actually meaningful. All of a sudden, I freed up bandwidth. I removed all this strain that I was putting on myself with, everything, all this pollution from social media. Because that's what it is, pollution. And my brain opened. It was like I had a brain again. What did I do for those 2 months? I wrote the best program in crypto exit strategy that exists in the entire world. Undeniable. I've built something that can't be competed with. And it was because I reduced this complexity, I reduced the noise, and I increased the bandwidth of my brain. Or I started to access the full bandwidth of my brain. So if you're looking for a way to actually navigate crypto properly and focus on the things that are most effective, acknowledge where that diminishing returns point is for you and all this tech that you've got, the websites, the wallets and stuff, narrow it down to the point where it's like not overwhelming, and divert and notice how much energy you now have how much brain function you have now, because you've reduced those things, and focus on something that's actually going to do you some good, meaningfully good, like asymmetric good. I talk about asymmetry a lot because it's so important. But if you can put the same amount of energy into two things and one of them gets you way better results or way more extreme results, that is an asymmetric task to be doing. And the asymmetric task that everyone in the world can be doing right now is developing an exit strategy. Now, of course, you can do this on your own, or you can work with the absolute best program in the entire globe. In the universe, even. I could say universe, because I doubt there's alien species developing crypto exit strategies, so we'll say the universe. This is where you could divert that energy and attention and time. Yes, of course, it's not easy to create these exit strategies, but it's easier when you've actually got the bandwidth to do it. I'm trying to give you the opportunity to figure out where to get that bandwidth from so you can dedicate it into the right place, because it's actually taking profits that will be the asymmetric move for you and actually making some money this bull run, rather than waiting to see how it goes, getting overwhelmed, getting emotional, navigating 50 different wallets just to click sell. Like, all of that gets in the way of a streamlined and efficient process. So forget about it all. Just open up that bandwidth in your brain to do something asymmetric in results. And that is an exit strategy. So I'd love to talk with you about it. If you're the right person and you've got the right desire to have that problem solved, then of course you're going to be perfect for the program. You can register using the link in the description. But really, that's all for me on this video. That's how we really need to start overcoming technological overwhelm in crypto.